Hey everyone, and welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon to the breakfast show with myself and my favorite co-host here, Jose. You're my favorite co-host because you are the only co-host I have.
No, even if you had more, it'd still be true. And good morning, Neil. Good morning to everybody watching. Um, Pretty big day, right? For us today, we have that AMD earnings. So I'm super excited. Mm, Excited to see what happens. I don't know if it's
More excited about the guidance, I'd say, or comments from Lisa in the during the earnings call. That's for sure. We do have some other companies reporting here as well. Actually, before the market opens, we already had Lemonade. Lemonade reported quite good
Mm,
earnings. I think the stock was up 12% last time I checked. After hours, we do have AMD, Supermicro, Arista, Astera Labs, Open Door, Snap, Lucid, Upstart, Rivian, Clover. So still a
yeah,
full list of
pretty.
companies. Yeah, pretty full, pretty full. And
Yeah,
then tomorrow morning, tomorrow morning is a hectic morning.
yeah.
Uber, Shopify, Oscar, Novo, and Walt Disney. It's I do wonder why they always do this. Like, why did they all decide today, that day, we should all report at the same time?
Just because they know they're gonna do something bad, so the market might forget. Someone might do something worse.
Yeah, the market never forgets. The market never forgets. So yeah, AMD is definitely. I mean, it's the one that we will be talking about later. Later today, we'll do a little preview. Right
Mhm.
now, I do also maybe I will touch a little bit on HIMS and Mercado Libre because those stocks are down pre-market at the moment, despite I'd say a good quarter all in all for both of those companies. Right now, let me actually pull up the markets real quick just to see what's going on around the world. European markets right now are green. Asians are green. Nifty 50 is red. Pre-market in the US, that's green as well. Euro dollar sits at 1.15, so nothing much has changed there. With regards to HIMS, still down 9.7%, and Meli is down 5.5% right now. Apparently, Trump says pharma tariffs could eventually reach up to 250%. And Scott
Um,
Bessent does not want to be Fed chair.
yeah. So here we did see. Oh, go ahead, Neil. Good again. Um, I think Trump had the interview earlier today at CNBC. I guess this came out that Trump will announce pharma and semiconductor tariffs within the next week. We'll be putting an initial small tariffs on pharma will go up in 1 year to 150 or 250. One of the main reasons is both these industries are being kind of gone through an investigation. I forget 252. I forget the actual article reported, but until that investigation happens, that's why we haven't seen much tariffs on the semiconductor industry. It's going to be interesting, right? Neil, what I expect to happen in the semiconductor space is equipment players would get most likely a bypass or a very low tariff just because you don't want to halt building fabs here in the United States, right? That's one of my predictions, and it kind of makes sense. The other thing is anything dealing with AI chips might also have a very low or no on tariffs. Anything in the consumer space is what's I think if we do have tariffs, it's going to get pretty hard unless they get built obviously here. So things like PCs, like cell phones, glasses, Internet of Things, anything in those departments, I think would be hit with tariffs. So definitely there are some companies that I guess could be volatile with news like that.
Yeah, but right now it does seem, and from the pre-market action, doesn't really move the market at
Yeah,
the moment. Of course,
yeah.
when the announcement will be made, things can change. Of course,
So Neil, why is the market green right now?
why not? I don't know.
I didn't know. I mean, it looked decently green, so I figured because no earnings, I mean, was that crazy yesterday. Except, I mean, I guess you could say Palantir, but it seems like everything else kind of like
I mean, it's not
so
that green. Like
yeah,
Dow is barely green. S&P
point
0.16.
27
Yeah, 0.26.
on the Nasdaq. That's
I don't know how green it will stay when the market opens, but I know I rather see this than red across the board. But I know Asian markets have been doing very well, and Europe is fine at the moment. So I I'm not going to complain here. I guess.
well, though I guess talking about the pharma tariffs. Um, I
But
wonder how much of this. I don't follow the pharma market. I wonder how much of this has kind of been known and or seen. And again, these tariffs are some of that 250% can be for such a unique product that it barely impacts anybody.
yeah, but then again, I think if you make it in the United States, you're not getting hit.
Hmm.
Or I mean, that's the whole point
That's
here,
the whole
right?
theory. Yes.
You either make it in the United States, yeah. So I don't know, because Novo, I think they are going to expand or are already expanding right now in the United States. So I don't think that will kill it. The only thing that could kill Novo is if they forget about their own patents and they don't renew it. Um, that's
Google looks good today. I feel like Google
Google,
looks good every day. But is it down? Is it green?
whether it's up or down.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's good. It's
Um,
it's flat. It's doing Google. It's up 0.06%. It's doing Google
okay.
things. Neil, I got a question here. Jose, is on semi or onto a buy right now for you, or any other stocks that you might be actively buying? What am I actively buying right now? If I do say one that has really, there's two that I'm really, oh, three. I'm actively buying. Um, Google, Marvel, and GitLab. What I mean actively is definitely not on a daily basis, but very frequent on a monthly basis. Um, on semi or onto, I think on semi kind of falls very similar to what I've talked about in the past, Neo, where it's really focused on the EV space. So right now, obviously, they have future tailwinds of the data center market expansion, but that's going to take some time. Very much how we saw Nvts yesterday kind of explain some of those projections were from 2030. So I own on semi. This is one that if I'm buying, I don't feel like I need to buy right away. It's one that I can just accumulate over time, and that accumulation phase could last a few quarters. But I am bullish on semi. I am bullish on onto. I do think onto is another one. That is one that deals, if I remember correctly, metrology solutions for semiconductor manufacturing. And it has just making sure. Yeah, right now, past year is down about 41%. I think these types of markets are going to do good with this AI race. Unlike how maybe ASML might be seeing some weakness, I think other processes on the manufacturing chain are going to do a little bit better. I like Onto, I mean, less than $10 billion market cap. Semiconductor equipment players below the 10 billion market cap are ones I enjoy a lot right now because I do believe there's a lot of opportunity there.
Quick thank you here for Chris Patel in the house.
Oh, I
Yeah,
saw that, Neil. Yeah,
I did get
congrats. Congrats.
my play button yesterday.
That was pretty quick.
It was very
I thought it
quick.
would take longer. Yeah, because I sometimes hear stories of like taking months or something.
Yeah, so it first takes a couple of, actually it took a week until you actually get the notification, because they're probably running checks to see if you have real followers, blah, blah, blah. And then you submit it. And then they said it can take between X amount of weeks, but came in pretty quick. Yeah, I am in the United Health boat right now.
Party.
Yeah, so one heck of a party so far. You know what's strange? I just noticed that my Google Chrome search engine is now Yahoo search.
What do you mean?
I
You got
just
hacked
wrote
or something?
something. Either I got hacked or the Europeans changed my search. What has happened here? Like I wrote Google stock and suddenly I see Yahoo. I'm like, whoa, what is this?
Oh, you put Google stock? Let me see. You guys are going backwards over there. Next, you're going to end up getting in askjeeves.com.
Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, how do I turn this thing back? This is strange.
Well, while you do
Anyways.
that, Neo. Oh, okay.
No, anyways, let me just what could possibly have to collapse even more? I mean, this is on you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what changed in my
Yeah.
browser. I think Jose hacked him.
Yeah, exactly.
For Novo to drop even lower, let me pull up the chart. I mean, how much lower do you want this to drop? That's the real question here. Let's see, NVO. Because I don't know, we are
I would hope so.
quite low. We are already down 68%. So I don't know how much lower you would like Novo to drop, but seems like we're at the same prices not seen since September 2022. So that was a bottom then. Could it be a bottom now? I don't know, remains to be seen, but tomorrow we will have more answers because they report earnings. So could drop, could go up, even though we already got some guidance.
Okay, yeah.
They already gave us like preliminary guidance, so not going to be that volatile, I think.
It's crazy how, like, even in everyone always says it, right? Even in a bull market, you always find a bear market somewhere, and it definitely seems like in the healthcare industry, you definitely are seeing kind of like this healthcare bearish momentum in a lot of like popular stocks.
Yeah, I mean, you just need one catalyst to make this thing move back up. Because, I mean, it is cheap, but it was cheaper before they gave us reduced guidance. So that's the big difference. But yeah.
Some people are asking you to fulfill their fantasies. I don't know if they're gonna record it and do something with it, but Neil, I never heard you talk Dutch. Can you do it one time? Would be nice.
Maybe
Just say Jose is the greatest.
Maybe tonight. Depending on
AMD.
Depending on AMD, exactly. So come back later tonight and
come back.
We'll see how that goes. Okay, let me see if if I have my Google back. Whew, okay, it's back. Thank God.
You fixed it. I fixed it for you, Neil. You're welcome.
Is healthcare sector really worth the risk?
I feel like
Yeah,
every sector has a risk, right? I mean, you can
yeah,
say for the semiconductor market is Taiwan, blah blah blah, invasion, something like that. I always hear, or is the competitive landscape. I think every market has a risk that you have to outweigh to see if you want to invest in it.
yeah. I mean, is it worth the risk? I think at today's prices, there are some companies like United Health. I'd say that yes, it's worth the risk because the downside risk is quite minimal compared to the upside right now. I'm not saying it's going to have a V-shaped type of recovery, but I think it is. I mean, still still very important. I don't see that industry going away anytime soon. Of course, it can have some headwinds, but business wise, it's still doing okay. Um, with regards to
And
hymns,
uh,
ah,
well,
yeah,
let me
but
just yeah, I was just saying it was on June 11th. It was during GTC Paris. NVIDIA partners with Nova Nordisk and DCAI to advance drug discovery. I think they were just investing in some supercomputers. Um, we'll focus. Yeah, it seems like they were going to use kind of this super computers, but stuff like that takes time. It's not like they're gonna. I think AI still in drug discovery still is a multi-year um, progress.
yeah, I mean, anyways, you have to go through all the phases, the approvals, and all of that afterwards. So that won't change anytime soon. Now, for hymns, real quick, this is the first quarter where you can see sequential decline in revenue. So that adds to the stock's reaction. Then, if we take the last quarter, this quarter, and then the upcoming 2 quarters, you add that all together to reach their own $2.3 billion of revenue for the year. It's it's very tricky because the last quarter is crucial to hit their own lower end of the guidance. And so next quarter at the midpoint, this is analyst expectations, all powered by fiscal.ai. But HIMS expects to report 580 million at the midpoint. Then it would have to generate over 600 million in the fourth quarter of this year to even meet their lower end of guidance. Could that happen? It's definitely a possibility, and I'll explain why. But overall, although you have here insane year over year growth rates, the hyper growth of the company, in my opinion, is slowing down, and we're exiting now normal growth type of company because sequentially they're not expected to grow that much anymore. Still growing, but you're not going to see those triple digits or high double digit growths either. Now, one of the issues for the quarter were as follows. So they're offboarding GLP-1 subscribers. So the decision to offboard subscribers using commercially available GLP-1 dosages resulted in a decline in average revenue per subscriber from 84 to 74 dollars, which we're seeing this right here. So okay, this is something that was planned, but of course, over the long run, you would like to see the trend recover. There's some market volatility. They've seen some increased cost here as well. And then they acquired a company called Zava. This will allow them to grow outside of their core market. So they acquired that company in July to expand its footprint in the UK and establish a base in Germany, Ireland, and France. They do say that they anticipate Zava to contribute at least $50 million of net incremental revenue for the remainder of 2025. So this might be one of the only reasons I can see how they reach their full year guidance for the year, because that was 50 million that previously they would not have gotten. Now, in the
Did
future,
they say? Sorry, Neil. Did they say how it's going to be broken down? With that, is it like X in this quarter three and X in
no,
quarter four? They just
no,
said just for the full year.
yeah, just for
Uh,
the year. Yeah, I mean for the year, for what's left of the year, basically. Um, But yeah, this is basically what you're getting. The purple ones are where they're at right now, where that's available. The greenish ones here is coming soon. And so there is, of course, an expansion option with HIMS. The platform is expanding, whether it's in Europe, even the United States, new offerings. But as you can see, Canada coming soon, that should open up a new market for them, which should then accelerate or reaccelerate revenue going forward. They say here expansion into Canada in 2026, leveraging the Zava platform is a key part of the growth strategy. Long-term targets still the same here. 2030 targets of at least $6.5 billion in revenue and $1.3 billion in adjusted EBITDA. So all in all, this is what we get. Year-over-year growth still very good. 42 to 47% year-over-year growth for next quarter, and then 56 to 63% year-over-year growth for the full year. But as you can see, this is a midpoint of $580 million. For this quarter, they generated 544. So again, quarter over quarter, you're not going to see that much growth anymore. Could be a short-term thing, could be a long-term thing. We'll see. But yeah, in the medium term, they are investing quite a lot in the company. So don't expect the hyper growth to continue in the meantime. Should be entering, I'd say, the next stage of growth mode in 2026 yet again. So can the stock pull back more? It can. Can it get hit by any Novo Nordisk litigation? It can as well, although they didn't really talk about that during the call because I guess that's not a place to talk about it. But that's basically HIMS. A lot of it was priced in first quarter where revenue was down sequentially. And so that doesn't help. That doesn't help the case. Quickly touching on Mercado Libre. Mercado Libre had a very, very good earnings report. There were some things that, the market didn't like. For example, the company's increased spending on sales and marketing is the primary factor impacting margins, which were compressed by 1 percentage points compared to last year. So they had here some key campaigns, Mercado Pago in Brazil, Chile, and Mexico, featuring celebrities. I think Ronaldo and Neymar were featured there. A Black Friday style campaign to promote the lowered free shipping threshold in Brazil. So, of course, if you increase free shipping, that will, of course, increase GMV orders and all of that, but that does decrease your margin. So again, it's short-term investments, and you're willing to take the short-term impact on the business for the long-term value creation. And that's exactly what's happening here with Mercado Libre. The credit portfolio is another area to watch as the company scales its credit offerings. That has always been a question mark. How big can you grow this in a short amount of time? Are you increasing your risk profile? Are you managing to decrease it over time? I mean, so far the company has done what it should be doing. So I take any major pullback in the stock as an opportunity. I know one share cost you still over $2,000, but it's still an excellent company to own, in my opinion.
I also want to take a closer look at Nvts. We had a few questions there. The stock is down about 18% after earnings. Let me just share screen really quickly so we can look at some stuff here. First, Neil, I mean, in forms of market headwinds, there were a lot. I mean, Nvts is still in the classical semiconductor downturn. The semiconductor outside of AI is still pretty bad, especially in the power industry, because they still focus on things like EVs and a lot of consumer markets. So revenue was down 29% year over year, even with kind of this excitement in the AI space. They mentioned that tariffs are creating kind of an unstable environment, and they actually had to write off about $3.2 million in inventory. And if you compare that inventory, obviously, to the revenue they're building on a quarter over quarter basis, that's pretty high. The other thing is they do provide solutions for Enphase in some of their solutions with the solar energy and with the removal of solar and EV tax credits. They mentioned it is dampening demand in one that they considered a growth sector back then. The other thing, Neil, they did kind of give a guidance of about 10 million. The market was expecting somewhere around $15 million. The main reason is, first, some of the weakness from those tariffs impact. The second thing, though, is they are shifting away from lower margin mobile business, which sounds great, but obviously at the end of the day, some margins is better than no margins at all. So some markets, someone might be saying, hey, look, right now, while you're still in a very down market, why don't you try to be in these places where you can at least make a little bit of money than no money at all? They also did announce that TSMC, who was their key supplier in gallium nitride wafers, will end production in 2027. They did announce a new partner there, but obviously you always have transition risk, execution failures, making sure everything's gone on time, the right amount of products that you need. With this other player, Power Chip Semiconductor. So some vulnerabilities and execution risk get there. The other things that we saw, competitive threats, you had the aggressive pricing in China. The AI data center market is crowding. Obviously, that NVIDIA partnership is pretty cool, but there's 10 different companies in NVIDIA's partnership program with this 800-volt solution. So there's the great thing about, I guess, Nvts is one of the smallest out of the bunch. So if they do succeed, that could be a massive winner. But we did see that some of those timelines are not expected until 2030. So I think if we pull up here, they kind of give us a breakdown on kind of the stages of this 800-volt data center opportunity, and most of them are potential by 2030. So I think the market is first not liking the miss on guidance. Second, maybe not liking still the weakness of this AI data center space, as they only gave you 2.6 billion market potential by 2030. And I think many investors were hoping for a lot more than 2.6 billion by the next 4 years. And it's definitely creating some negative sentiment on the stock. I personally am not buying at these levels. I do think there was a lot of things that need to be weighted out for this one. But regardless, being a smaller company with about a $1 billion market cap, this can move dramatically with any news. So volatile, I think, is going to be great for traders. It's going to be great for maybe if you have a short-term investment thesis. But for long-term investors, I think you still have plenty of time to really decide, and you'll have plenty of opportunity as well.
So not one for our YOLO bets for now.
I think for a YOLO bet, YOLO bets like quick trades. I think for YOLO bets is there's potential. Not today though. Not today.
No, today what is
Yo,
what did you
couch
say? It's
investor
down
and with the
20%.
chipper. That is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's 2030 is a long time to actually see whether or not
And to only give
things
you
work out for them.
a market of 2.3 billion, I don't know. That just seems so weak. Oh,
We're talking about
Navitas, yeah,
Navitas, not
ticker
Nvidia, not.
Nvts. It was a partner of Nvidia, and they kind of saw a massive run up. I think the stock is down about 15% right now.
Let's see. It is. Yeah, last time this updated was 19.8.
Oh wow.
Probably. Yeah, still 20% or so. 20%. I mean, it does make sense if you look at the price action of the stock. I mean, this is when they were mentioned in that blog. Was at $2, then you went all the way to $7-8 or so, went back down, then went back up again based on anticipation and hype, and now we're back to basically prices not seen since not that long ago, actually. Not that long ago. We do have, apparently Zeta is reporting today as well. Stock, yeah, more recently. I mean, it's also one of those stocks that gotten quite a lot of attention. I still think it's a good one. I think it's a stable one. I still think it's one that could get acquired if the market just doesn't notice it. So yeah, we'll see. We'll try and cover the report quickly after hours, but we'll focus more on AMD later today. Talking about AMD, since we do have half an hour until the market opens, expectations, maybe predictions.
Well, let's see estimates first from here from fiscal.ai.
So we have, let's see. So the market is expecting them to report $7.43 billion in revenue for the quarter. I think when
And what was it last quarter?
AMD announced
7.4. So it's expecting a flat quarter pretty much from a quarter of eight. Yeah.
But this was a beat when AMD gave us guidance. I think market was expecting 7.1, $7.2 billion. So this was a beat. So this was good 3 months ago. EPS expected to come down 48 cents here. Margin wise, also coming down, but when you exclude the one-time charges,
I was gonna say
beat as well.
It was this is probably the big hit here on earnings per share is due to that one-time hit, where they expected a nice amount of Chinese revenue. But it's gonna be interesting now if they now that they can sell back, will they not write it off anymore if that inventory can be sent out? So I think that's going to create a lot of volatility in earnings per share this quarter, because even though they couldn't sell that quarter, right? Obviously, because the quarter that they couldn't sell. Now they still have the potential of selling that AI chip, so they have no reason to write it off if it's now acceptable. So I think that's going to impact a lot of these numbers, and these numbers are going to look really weird compared to what I guess the market expects, especially here for earnings per share. Because I don't think they should write it off anymore. Because if now they're able to sell it, that shouldn't be the case anymore.
I mean, it should be good for guidance, because I mean, unless suddenly they anticipate something else to happen over the upcoming weeks and months, but yeah, the question is was it too late to not write it off or not?
That's the thing. I don't know how the writing off law works, right? If they had to write it off prior to the quarter, since the quarter ended, but they're reporting earnings. Yeah, that's a tricky one, Neil. I that's of when you have to actually write it off if you're writing things off. Can you change your mind before you report earnings?
I don't know, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter that much, because if it's a one-time thing, and if they suddenly can sell it the next quarter, then just recognize it again. But yeah, I don't know how that thing works.
Yeah, that one's gonna be tricky. Yeah, I think it's gonna be tricky. I think the big question here, Neil, is going to be how good of a ramp up process they did with the MI355, because obviously it takes time to ship it out and stuff like that. I haven't really heard many companies. Have you heard anybody turning on a MI355 unit just yet?
Not that I know of. Yeah. I don't know if that one company, if it was that or not 25, I think.
Yeah, so I think
I don't know, maybe a bit too early.
That's going to be the biggest thing. Is like how much were they able to sell the MI355 and how much it was accounted in that quarter? Because I think they still had since the event they had still about 4 weeks for it. But yeah, what Fade mentioned here, what matters for AMD is guidance, and hopefully they break down guidance, because like Neil has said, if they only give us double-digit growth again or something nonsense like that, market is not going to like it.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at let's see, what the market expects for the upcoming years for revenue-wise for AMD, it has changed surprisingly enough. If we look at fiscal 25, it's expected to grow 15.7%, then accelerate to 19.6%, and then only grow 16.1% in fiscal 27. To me, it's quite strange that the market is expecting growth to decelerate after MI 400 comes out.
Yeah.
I would have assumed that revenue would have gone up even more after MI 400
Well,
going into MI
I
500.
wonder how many estimations are for 2027 though, Neil. I feel most markets right now only focus on the forward year, which is December 25, and the next fiscal year, which would be 26. So maybe we just don't have all the bullish analysts still looking at 2027. Um,
I mean, it's not that far out.
yeah.
It's like 2.5 fiscal years, not that much. Um, free cash flow wise, I do know that free cash flow wise, it did drop the estimates. So if we go and put free cash flow, let's see. Okay, so back then, nothing much. If we look at free cash flow for the upcoming fiscal years, this was previously at $11 billion, by the way. So we're now at 9.3. $2 billion less than I think a couple of months ago was anticipated, which, again, I'm asking the question here why that is. I do expect them to generate more, although this is, of course, growing faster than revenue.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I don't know why the estimates were revised down, especially after all of the good news that came out of AMD and all of the new. Okay, the price targets are just for the next 12 months, so fine. But why you putting those numbers down suddenly? Do you suddenly think that in fiscal 27 the business is not going to have the same free cash flow margin or the same revenue? I don't know.
I wonder also if they're just putting some pressure on some of the other markets outside of the data center space. They could be putting pressure onto the consumer market, maybe the cyclicality there. They expect it to be a little bit heavier. And I think for AMD, the consumer market is still going to be a decent portion of total revenue, even in 2027. Um, but
Let's actually have a look at the split here. That's data center, and then you have client and gaming is now the
Now
same
the same
segment.
thing.
So
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So as you can see,
Yeah.
data center revenue is already bigger
Mhm.
than client and gaming combined. I do expect that to continue. I do expect that to become even bigger, bigger percent of the overall business. But the client side of things still doing very well.
Mhm.
Actually, let me put the quarterly figures here. The fact that for the last 2 quarters, client and gaming revenue are basically flat, despite gaming
Yeah.
not really growing much, just shows the strength of the client side of the business.
Uh,
Actually, have a look here at the client revenue that has increased quite rapidly, and we see nice little acceleration here in growth
mhm.
on the client side of things. I do still expect to see some strength from the client side
Um,
of AMD.
Yeah. I wonder now, Neil, with what Trump said today, if that might impact some of the guidance talks. Because they might say, hey, look, we actually, with new guidance potential on tariffs for semiconductor, it's going to be very hard for us to give some form of true guidance due to the uncertainties or something like that. So that's something, I mean, that could come out, especially since we see the consumer space for sure. It's definitely still a big portion of this company's total revenue. But I am still very bullish on their consumer market. I mean, I just recently bought a new laptop, and I rather went with the AMD Nvidia combo than the Intel Nvidia combo.
I also have an AMD and Nvidia combo. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I do hope they don't use the new uncertainty of today as an excuse not to give us
No more guidance.
normal guidance. Um, the thing is, I think it's a double beat today for
Yeah.
the quarter. I don't think that's going to be the
No.
issue. It's the
Hmm.
guidance. It's not even the revenue guidance. I'd say it's the guidance for the AI portion part of it that will make or break the stock.
And again, I think one of my biggest fears is just the high expectations of the MI355, as it does take a ramp process to build these chips. I mean, we even see it with Nvidia. It takes the Blackwell came out a few quarters and it's still taking time for it to ramp up to strong growth levels. So the MI355, while it is pretty exciting, we had all those great partnerships. Um, how much are investors expecting the MI355 to actually benefit right now,
The thing is, if
or
of
even
course
guidance?
for the quarter that they were, yeah, but that's the thing. I think guidance, we could get that answer,
Mhm.
right? Because if revenue suddenly comes in much better than expected, then you could say, okay, it's because of the ramp up that's going quite well. For the quarter that they report today, I don't think we should see much or any impact from it. But for the next quarter, if we do suddenly see a big increase, then you might say, okay, the ramp up is going well, and we're happy. We're happy with those figures. If revenue does not increase that much quarter over quarter, then you might start to ask questions like, oh, what's going on?
Mhm.
I thought you launched um, back in June the MI 350s. So why wouldn't this already have an impact in the next quarter? I think it will. The question is how big of an impact.
And we have here, for simplicity, remove all revenues outside of AI data centers, as in long term, that's the only one that matters. And then value AMD with growth multiples. Rest is just bonus. Well, if you remove just everything AI data centers, it would look like a very expensive company. I mean, like we see here, the consumer space is still very big. And this is a company trading at forward PE ratios of what, 32. So if you remove that consumer space, you're going to get like a forward PE ratio of what, like 40, maybe even 50. Um, uh, Next 12 months valuation of 41. So if you remove the consumer space, um, you're now pricing this at like 50, maybe even 60. So I think for AMD, you have to still be hopeful about the consumer space. It's still very critical for this market, and the AI PCs and just this AI innovation, and them gaining market share, I think is something to be very excited for AMD. But you can't ignore them, in my opinion.
And the embedded side of things as well.
Yeah, the
I
embedded
mean,
is a
embedded,
when that's
why,
good, that's a massive free cash flow driver for AMD. It
yeah, I mean, margins for the embedded segment are
Yeah,
insane.
usually 50% on a
So
good
again,
year, on their good years. That's wild.
yeah. So that's the thing with embedded. I do think we should be seeing some tailwinds pretty soon. And when that happens, I mean, you can add another $500 million of revenue for embedded. And if you look at the, where is it? If you look at how profitable this business is, I mean, we remove these ones right here. From $823 million of revenue, you're going to generate $328 million of operating income. So that's
Yeah.
not bad, especially not for a company like AMD right now, where it's not as massive
Yeah.
as NVIDIA.
And even though,
It adds
and
up.
also, that kind of operating margins on a market that's very down cycle right now, I think it's pretty. You're what doing? That's what, more than 30% margins right there. And we can kind of look at April. I think even before April, you were kind of getting here July. Some of those were about 50%. So now, if you kind of get that turnaround story, you get better pricing power, and those margins. Even the other one, September, was about 50% margins there. So that's another exciting part, is just when these markets turn around, earnings per share can grow a lot faster than revenue, because of the pricing power advantage that they have.
Correct. Correct. Um, David here with the super chat. Thanks for that. Are people sleeping on Micron? I think so. I think so. I don't think the PE is the main focus here, because cyclical business like that usually trade at a lower multiple. Although now you could say with HBM it deserve a higher multiple, and I would
Mhm.
agree. I think the comments from Samsung last week were, I mean, the market's reaction were a bit overblown, especially when you listen to what Micron's management has said at in June. HBM 25 is sold out, so whatever is Samsung said for 25 shouldn't really impact Micron this year at all, since they're sold out. And then pricing wise for 26, 27, which HBM4, HBM4E, Micron's comments were still very, very positive. Now you could say, oh yeah, but Micron might be lying. I don't know, Micron has been taking market share, Samsung has been losing market share. I think there's one side that gains from saying that there are some issues in the market, and when they're trying to catch up, and I don't think it's Micron.
Because I mean, there's definitely some fear for Micron for sure. I mean, yesterday I saw some of the semiconductor, someone from the semiconductor group that I follow. He mentioned that Nvidia has finally approved Micron for HBM3E, and just that approval is causing the reduction of HBM prices to decrease by almost, I think, well, it's like 20%.
Micron or
So they're
Samsung?
approving Samsung for it, but in general, it's decreasing the
Okay.
whole price of the HBM3E market. So I think that's what the market is
Yeah, yeah,
worried
yeah.
about, and they're worried about, I guess, when is HBM4 really going to become that the difference between HBM3E and all that. And like we talked about, HBM3E, you have HB3E 12, 6, I think 16 high you have for HBM3E. So there's different variables to it as well.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, no, I guess, but with Micron, I guess if your prices are already locked in, wouldn't really change much. It's for the upcoming orders. Plus the Rubin and Feynman are, I think, using HBM4
I
already,
think,
no? Or
yeah,
should
I
be,
think
yeah.
so. I have to
So
look at that. I know Feynman for sure. And I agree with John
yeah,
here.
and the
People are
prices
sleeping
there
on
are
ASML more than they're definitely sleeping. And I think there might be others slept on, but ASML long term win, I think so. Neil, if you had to pick one, Micron versus Supermicro.
obviously
Yeah,
Micron.
same.
I mean, I own
How about
Micron.
this one, Micron versus ASML, long term?
It's it's funny because both of them you could say are cyclical type of stocks. You've got one for the cyclicality of the memory business, and you have the other for the cyclicality of capex expansions and spending. Of course, ASML has that type of monopoly, so you would say you buy that and you forget
Yeah.
about it. With Micron, you will have to check up on it every X amount of time. But for now, I'm going with Micron now. But long term, if I can just buy one stock, never touch it, probably have to go with
Yeah.
ASML just for the
Sanity. Yeah,
security part.
that's a great way
Yeah.
to break it down. ASML, right? It's where Micron is. We're not. I wouldn't say nowhere near the peak of HBM space. It's definitely in that uptrend right now, where ASML is on the opposite end of its cycle. It's still pretty much in the down cycle. For the security reason, I think ASML is definitely the better play. For the better bang for your buck opportunity, I think Micron is the play, especially right now, because it is riding that cycle.
Yeah. I agree.
Couch investor, the real question, Jose, is AMD versus
AMD
Marvell
versus
long-term
Marvell.
winner. I want to say it's. I think AMD is almost a for sure multi-bagger opportunity. So I like AMD for the safety. I think Marvell, if it is a multi-bagger opportunity, it will be a way bigger multi-bagger opportunity than AMD. Because we see, I mean, capex. People are going to need to be. The people are definitely investing in ASIC. That's not. It's not questionable, and I think eventually it's going to continue to increase. So AMD for my safety multi-bagger, Marvell for my risky higher growth multi-bagger.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Roberto here, Jose, big picture. How long can capex continue to grow and go to Nvidia and AMD? I feel like at some point the capex will go down by the hyperscalers and others. And at that point, does the price of AMD and Nvidia go down a lot, or do you think the innovation will be such that they will continue to have high revenue levels?
Yeah, so I mean, at first, let's talk that capex question. I think that capex can definitely, at least from what we're seeing, grow for 2 more years. So fiscal year of 2025, we expect a nice boost. And what we've heard from all these players, fiscal year of 2026, a lot of these big tech players are going to be having capital expenditures of $100 billion each. I can see, I see that right now, right? Because Meta announced 80 something around 70 billion in capex for fiscal year of 2025, and they expect a similar run rate of growth in numbers for 2026. So that will make it about 100 billion. We saw Google do 85 billion, increase it to 85 billion for this fiscal year. I believe they're going to increase to 100 billion, over 100 billion next year. Microsoft run rate we saw for fiscal year 2025 projects already a 100 billion, a billion capex. So I believe at least for the next 24 months, capex will still grow, which is still very, very long time. I think the rest, Roberto, determines on how AI innovates. If AI continues to innovate, and we do see kind of these AI agents, we continue to see this high need of compute due to all these types of AI innovations, then yes, capex will grow as long as we continue to hear that cloud revenue continuing to grow. But the moment you see maybe a hiccup in cloud revenue growth due to no longer saying supply constraint, but more demand constraint, then I think that's when capex slows down. But at least where we're at right now, AI agents is definitely something that will drive compute needs for at least the next 24 months. So this might be a question, Roberto, to talk about maybe 12 months from now, maybe not right now.
Yeah, but I mean, even when capex will start to slow down, capex will still
Yeah.
exist, right? They will still be spending money. And at that point, you would think that the software side of the solutions for AMD and NVIDIA would be generating enough revenue for them in the future. Of course, I still think that you will have to buy new chips every X amount of years. Because 5 years from now, Ruben will be useless. And so maybe even Feynman might be useless 5 years from now. You will have to replace those. Plus, again, what I'm showing you here is the capex from Meta, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft for now. I'm not even including every
No
other company
Oracle
that's
there, no
investing and buying.
Tesla, no XAI,
Nothing.
no
No
CoreWeave, no
XAI,
Nebius. The list can go on and on and on of
no
all these big players investing.
no
Yeah,
countries.
so many private
So
XAI, right? Anthropic. I mean, it's wild.
yeah, the list goes on and
Can
on and
you
on.
put this on a
Manuel here is asking me to ban
ban Neil?
myself from my own
Neil, can you
stream.
put this on a quarterly basis real quick? Or is this quarterly basis right now? No, this is trailing 12 months. See?
No, this is
This
quarterly.
gets me really excited, Neil. For
Right, let me just look at the last couple of years, because
depending on how AMD's earnings go today, this gets me very excited for Nvidia. Again, it's all dependent on how AMD does today. If AMD blows out waters, maybe not too excited for Nvidia. But if we can see quarter four and quarter one, there wasn't much growth. Quarter four and quarter one of the biggest issues, we heard it from Supermicro as well. There was Blackwell issues, Blackwell DLT issues.
thank you.
Blackwell DLT issues were happening in quarter four and quarter one, and that's why Supermicro had to reduce that capex. Seeing this, it means chips became heavily available in quarter two of 2025. Someone was ramping up highly amount of chips that they were buying this quarter. If it's not AMD, there's only one other player that's really ramping up chips. So it's
And it's Intel.
so this tells me that Nvidia is gonna again, it's all dependent on AMD's today. But if AMD gives us decent quarters, this is gonna tell me Nvidia is gonna have a blowout quarter this year.
I mean, the big increase did come from Amazon. Here, Amazon is the huge increase of
Can you
7
remove
billion,
Amazon then? Let me see.
and Google is
And
a $5 billion increase.
yeah.
Meta is only
Yeah.
4.
I mean, because then, or the other thing is, Marvell and Broadcom could just be getting a lot of wins from that Tranium, and the
If I remove Amazon, this is it.
still very exciting. Then, still very exciting for me.
Yeah, but you could also say that this is not chips only. It could be also buildings and whatnot that started to accelerate more and more.
But
Plus, with the increase of Google, you could say it's Google related with their own
yeah, that's what I'm
TPUs.
saying. Broadcom could be a play. But I mean, the more we start removing it, Broadcom actually reports after Nvidia and AMD, after Nvidia though. But yeah, Broadcom and Marvell usually last in the game. But I'm still saying that I think Nvidia has sold a lot and a lot of Blackwells this quarter, and
What's the let's actually have a look at what the market expects Nvidia to do. When do they report?
August 28th, the day before my birthday. I'm just gonna say that so you remember.
Hmm.
And you can send me that 100K
August
rich money over
28th.
as a gift.
Oh no, my friend's August 27th. So Nvidia is expected to report this on a quarterly $45.6
Yeah.
billion.
Yeah. That's because of that loss of the
Which is
Chinese
only
market.
yeah, which is not that much
Yeah.
quarter
Because
over
in quarter one, they
increase.
did had almost 2 out of the 3 months they still had the Chinese market open to them. Where in this one they only had about, in theory, I think like 2 weeks if available. I don't know if they actually shipped. But I think they beat those numbers drastically.
Like what, by 2,
I have
3
to look at
billion?
I have to go through a backlog like a reverse engineering on that capital expenditure that we saw, and then I'll give you a better number. But yes, by at least 2 billion. At least 2 billion they beat, at least.
Because after that, it's expected to grow much quicker,
Yeah.
of course, without the hits. So we go from 45 to 52, and then from 52 to $57 billion. So we're basically going up $12 billion in just 2
Yeah.
quarters for Nvidia.
That Ruben, man. I mean that Blackwell and Blackwell Ultra are a beast right now.
Ultra Ultra, yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry, but can you imagine AMD falling 20% tonight?
what would 20% take us to, Neil?
I just imagined.
I didn't see you. Imagine it one more time.
Yeah. So 20% would bring us to around the 50-day moving average, which is $145.
Yeah.
To go to the 200-day one, we will have to go to $130.
How about the other moving average?
So
you
that's
have?
26%.
The top end.
The
Yeah.
20, so it's just 107%.
If we go down to 140s, I don't think it's impossible. I definitely don't. 20% seems crazy, but now you're telling me it's going to be 145.
Yeah, I don't know what the implied volatility
Yeah.
is. If someone can check
Tell
that,
us implied
but
volatility. That will give you a great indication. And if you say 20%, that's wild, but that's crazy. 20% drop will still only take us to 145, which is still a nice.
I mean, that's the thing. That's what I said also yesterday with the Palantirs. It has a nice buffer. Even if we drop, it's not like we were going back to $100 or something like that. So yeah, we'll see. We're of course going to be live later today before the market closes. So that's why I pull up the heat map.
You are good, Neil. You are good. How'd you do it?
I have my Google search engine back. That's why. Whew. All right. So who's down for now? We'll give it a couple of seconds to make sure that we have some real numbers. Apparently, Pfizer also reported based on chat here. Pretty good quarter. So HIMS is down 10%. Applied Digital down 2.7%. Novo Nordisk down another 2%. Iron is down. Hood down a little bit. But of course, all of that changes quite rapidly. Palantir, $171, up 6.5%. Nebius keeps going up. Apologies for that. 2.2%. Micron is up. Intel is up. Uber is up 2%, 1% or so. Things are moving quite quite
Yeah.
rapidly for now.
Him's 13. That's crazy. Hey, apply digital. Give us some green.
Was Yeah, yesterday it got very good, very nice green. Um,
Reddit is still
David here,
moving.
another would not, Reddit
2%
is,
up today.
what is it now? $200 then? Yeah,
Yeah.
206. Wow, very nice. Uh, David with another super chat here. Micron is 19% of my portfolio. Is it too much? I mean, it's almost 1/5 of your portfolio, so you might be very bullish on Micron. The thing with Micron, the caution, even I hold Micron, but you still have to know when to start reducing. Like when the cycle, the growth cycle, I'd say maybe the hyper growth cycle, because they are growing 50% quarter over quarter, HBM
Mhm.
wise, when that starts to slow down. Because you don't want to be holding the bag when the down cycle starts. I don't know when that will happen. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Um, but 19% is some conviction, I'd say. Some
Yeah.
conviction.
No, I think so. I think that that's all right. This is a very volatile stock that can move pretty quickly. Like you mentioned, the cycle news can hit. So for me, it would be too much. But obviously, if you're very bullish in this market, and then also yeah, I think Roberto is saying, "What's the rest, David? If it's if it's 80% index fund, then maybe it's not the craziest thing, right?" But then if the other 80% is quantum
Yeah.
computing stocks, then maybe I don't know.
Then we've got some YOLO folks right here in the chat. Um, Palantir up 9% right now. That's
Yeah.
wild. I mean, it's a company now, wow, $413 billion in market cap. So you're trading at 100 times sales.
If Palantir can do this, AMD
I
can
mean,
also
okay.
do it. That's all I'm saying.
But Palantir, I mean, funny enough, the stock didn't even get that much more expensive because it is growing so fast
Palantir?
compared to where it was. Yeah, compared to where it was yesterday. Um,
Roberto's asking if
80%
like
applied. Uh, but yeah, let's see. So HIMS, yeah, around 11% or so. Let's actually
yeah.
pull up the other charts real quick.
Sep, I think a little bit because the AI accelerator event happened on June. Was it in June? Which was still part of the quarter, and they mentioned
Yeah,
they were already
early.
shipping the MI355. So the ramp up process is obviously pretty
Like
low.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty low, but you could include a little. You could see a little bit in it, but like many have talked about, guidance is definitely the big exciting thing for the MI355, MI350s.
Yeah. I mean, if you will have some inclusion of the revenue, but for like 2 weeks or so. Because even if they are shipping, takes time to ship it. And again, I don't know how they recognize it, right? If it's recognition when they ship it or when the customer receives and it's up and running.
It's definitely not when it's up and running,
I
Neil.
don't
It's when they get it. Up and running. Yeah,
know.
it's
Okay.
when they get it. The company itself, they can take 2 years, 2 weeks to build it, but once they get the system, um, the chip itself.
Yeah, no, fair enough. HIMS for now is under the 20-day moving average and above the 50-day one, for those wondering. Applied Digital is down a tiny bit, but not much. AMD flat-ish for today. Oscar, for good measure, is down a little bit. So, Jose, we're back to normal. Um, for Oscar here, we are getting a little bit more reds than green. Let's see. Nebius still at 55. Reddit still doing very, very well. Uber catching a break a little bit. Did get a small rejection here at the 20-day one, but they're reporting tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, we'll cover that as well. SoFi 21.7. PayPal PayPal recovering a tiny bit here. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Palantir is a software company with insane, insane margins, so can't really be compared apples to apples. With regards to, let's wait. With regards to someone saying about the PE ratio, only 800 PE. The thing here with Palantir is that I won't even look at PE at the moment because PE is their earnings are growing like they doubled earnings. So things are changing quite rapidly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably also going to still going to be triple
And
digits
here, obviously, I wasn't
PE
comparing it in
for
forms
sure.
of margins. It was more just the excitement in the stock, right, Renato?
Yeah, yeah,
It's the excitement, and obviously, I mean, you can also compare a little bit difference of a $4 billion revenue run rate versus a multi $20 billion revenue run rate as well, and both growing. So, I mean, yeah,
correct. Navitas has seen some buying activity. It was closer to $6. We're now at $6.60, still down 18%. But I think it opened up down over 20% or
yeah.
so. But we are getting a green candle for now from the bottom. Let's quickly look at United Health. Yeah, someone here exactly. To pump this one up a little bit to 250 real quick. And then the last one, let's look at our meme stock. Ah, open is flat. I think the first time I see open door flat when the market is open. Usually it's either up 30% or down 20% or so. Other than that, nothing much to report for now, but
Can you look at
we
GFS
will
Global
be back.
Foundries real quick? I haven't looked at it, but oh well,
Down
yeah.
11.5%. It has been going down for a while actually. Back to prices we've seen here
What
in
did it
April. There was
IPO
a
2 years
small
ago?
gap.
I think it no, not 2 years ago. It's been a while.
Let's see.
3 years ago.
Global Foundry, yeah, 2020 and 2021.
Foundry business, especially when you're looking at not advanced chips, is definitely a bit interesting. Google.
Google is green a little bit. Almost closed the stream without talking about it. Open door, what's happening there? Nothing. I guess the market is now purely waiting for the company to report earnings later today. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I still have a small position there, so. Nvidia peak PE in the past 5 years was 144. Palantir PE is 600. Yeah.
And yes, we are streaming the call today. So make sure to join us. We'll start, I think, 3:30, Neil. Do maybe just another
Yeah.
quick outlook of we've learned anything on the preview, anything that's happening in the market. Then around 4:15, we'll get the actual results. And then 5 o'clock, the earnings call.
Yeah. And then, I mean, until the earnings call, we'll go over the reports. We can go over
Other earners.
maybe
Yeah,
Supermicro,
Supermicro
their numbers.
reporting, and
Yeah.
some of the other players. Arista Networks, A-Lab, Astera Labs. Yeah, so there's a few in the semiconductor, and I know Neil pointed out a few in the other industries as well that we can discuss.
In the meme industry, yeah. The open door one. the open door one. Salesforce is a very intriguing play. I think Salesforce and Adobe are those like hated names right now that could perform well in the future.
That's crazy. That one's looking now. I don't know. That's wild.
What's the other guy doing? Up 3.5. This was like, look, poof. It can still drop 50%.
Yeah, so James, yeah, we'll be 30 minutes before the market closes. So whatever, 30 minutes before the market closes is probably the easiest time to think of. And we'll do, the call is about an hour after the market closes.
Correct. And so I did have a poll running, actually. Let's see what the results were.
Yeah.
I said AMD will I will run the same poll later just to see how sentiment has changed. So AMD will pump or dump. 66% say pump, 34 say a dump. So we'll check it again later today. Do you expect the DOJ to settle Google's case this week? I read it should be in August. I don't know if it's early August or not, but August is finally the month where we'll get our answer. I just don't see how Google loses. They probably will pay a fine, but I don't think they will be forced to sell any of their assets. All right. With that, see you all later today, 30 minutes before the market closes. Quick review of the market. AMD